Hi everybody, welcome to Sunya IAS and welcome to your lecture on Environment Ecology. Today we are going to see UNESCO Natural World Heritage Sites. Now, as future civil servants, it is very important for you to know the very diverse, ecologically rich regions of India. What are the problems which they face, and finally, what are the solutions that can be done to restore the degradation. And in this regard, we have very important natural world heritage sites in India, right? So overall, you have 40 UNESCO, let's say, heritage sites. You have cultural sites as well as natural sites, right? We are going to focus on the natural ones now, okay? So if you see the map of India, I will be discussing today about the Great Himalayan National Park. I will also be talking about Kaziranga National Park, Keoladeo National Park, okay? Then Manas Wildlife Sanctuary, Sundarbans National Park, Western Ghats, okay, Nanda Devi and Valley of Flowers. So total then this becomes total 7 sites. If you would now notice, there is also a mixed heritage site, okay. This mixed heritage site is Kanchenjunga, okay. Now Kanchenjunga National Park is in Sikkim. Kanchenjunga is also a biosphere reserve, okay. I will be covering biosphere reserve separately as well. So for now, what you can know that these 7 sites now are the ones which we are going to do, right? This one is a mixed site. What does that mean? It has both cultural as well as natural elements. Okay, so for example, in terms of culture, Kanchenjunga will have Buddhist relics, Buddhist, let's say, heritage. Whereas when you think of natural, you can think of, let's say, red panda in that particular region. Okay, so this is one. So one by one, we will be covering this site. My sincere request to all of you would be take a piece of map, and while this may seem very easy to you, but still draw all these locations individually on a piece of map as well. Okay, so taking, let's say, whenever, let's say, I discuss Great Himalayan, mark it with your own hands. Similarly, all these regions. So this will be one map. Again, similarly, in other, let's say, lectures and videos, all the important protected areas, sites, and even the species you can map on the map of India. Okay, so that gives you a far better understanding of environment. Okay, so let us start. See this wonderful image, and again I've added a lot of images to make this a very rich visual experience for you, right? This is the image of the Great Himalayan National Park. Okay, now this is of course one of the very important UNESCO Natural Heritage Sites. What should you know about it? Let's say this is the location. So number one, it is located in the Kullu region of Himachal Pradesh. Fine. And in all these, let's say, portions, I will be talking about the flora and the fauna. Fine. These two things we'll be talking about, right? So one, this is located in Himachal Pradesh. Fine. Second, now whatever terms are mentioned here in the slide, read it carefully. And if perhaps there is something you do not know, at least Google it. Okay. Sometimes very basic points from here also can be asked you in the exam. For example, predominantly alpine, subalpine. Okay. So when we talk about the altitudinal, let's say when you start from the base and when you move up the mountains, so alpine is at the higher reaches. Similarly, when I talk about the Great Himalayan National Park, it is at a higher elevation, right? So this has oak, coniferous and pine forest, right? I will just tell you about coniferous forest. Coniferous forests, example, of course, one of them here is spruce, okay, and even pine, Kilgoza, etc., right? And here also you should also be aware that these have cone or these needles, right? And they are very much, these conifers are prone to forest fires. That is one thing you need to know. Now a lot of plant and species are found which have some medicinal herbs, etc. So this is fairly something you know about what is happening in the Great Himalayan National Park, right? In terms of fauna, okay, so again, some of these have something which is unique. Only the unique ones I'm going to tell you. Other than that, see, it's a natural heritage site. Fine. So it will have a lot of biodiversity. Fine. That goes without saying. Now, yes, of course, there are a lot of mammals, there are a lot of birds, etc. You have very important snow leopard. Now, snow leopard is also found in the cold deserts of Ladakh. Okay, it's also found in portions of Himachal Pradesh. So snow leopard, very important for us, right? Other than that, you have this western tragopan. Please write the name down. Okay, and just look what is a tragopan. Sometimes UPSC does have an option. Let's say it will give you the name of a species, whether it's a fish, whether it's a bird, etc. So Western tragopan, I want you to see because it's very unique. Okay. Other than that, you will find the Himalayan brown bear, blue sheep, Himalayan tar. Now, when I tell you the portions of Nilgiri and Western Ghats, you will see Nilgiri tar. Okay. So you can also see the distribution of the species in the entire breadth and the length of India, right? This was described in the year 2014, the year you don't have to remember. From ecological point of view, all you need to remember is the flora and fauna. That is all what we are going to focus in each of the areas, right? So this is the Great Himalayan National Park. Okay, visual, it looks excellent, right? This is, and again, snow leopard, Western tragopan, okay, coniferous forests, pine, etc. That is what you need to know. Now, second, okay, the image is going to tell you this is what Kaziranga World Heritage Site, and which is very famous for your one-horned rhinos, right? So let us read about the Kaziranga Park. Again, I've added on the left side the map, and on the right side is the explanation. So yes, this is present in Assam. So this is number one. The visual memory should tell you that Kaziranga is present in Assam. And out of all these, I think one Kaziranga and second is Sundarbans, which the aspirants are very well aware about, right? So here what you need to know, let's say, of course, one, this is in Assam. Second is the flora. Fine. So you will find a lot of tall elephant grasses here. Okay. You will find broadleaf forests. Okay. Marshland. And again, you have rivers which are inundating here. In fact, this region also is prone, of course, the Assam region is prone to flooding, which sometimes also creates problem for the species which are there, because as the level of water increases, they find it difficult to survive, right? So that is also there. Now, home to the largest population of Indian one-horned rhinos. Okay, that was in the previous image also, right? It has the wild water buffalo. Okay. Other than that, you also have the swamp deer, and more specifically, it's the eastern swamp deer which is found. Other than that, yes, you find the big five species in Kaziranga, okay, which include your tiger, which includes elephant, which includes eastern swamp deer, Indian one-horned rhinos amongst many, amongst all, right? So that is one, okay. You have a lot of birds coming in, so it's a bird watcher's paradise, right? So not just, for example, a lot of birds from Central Asia and parts of Russia can also migrate and come over here. That is why it's a bird watcher's paradise. Fine. So that is something that one, let's say, reads out Kaziranga. Now, Kaziranga was also in use in current affairs. Okay. For example, this is the first national park in India to have a mobile satellite phone. Okay. And that was primarily done to check the poaching and the illegal killing of one-horned rhinos. Right. So that is also there. Now, all these natural heritage sites have two things. One, very high biodiversity, but still they are threatened. A lot of intervention, illegal killing, and deforestation also goes on. So when we are discussing it, also keep in mind the destructive habitats, etc., which are there in this. So this is what I wanted to briefly tell you about Kaziranga National Park. Fine. What does this image strike or tell you? Okay. So these are your Siberian cranes. Where are they visiting? They are actually visiting Keoladeo National Park. Where is Keoladeo National Park? It is in Rajasthan. In fact, it is in Bharatpur, Rajasthan, which is a very good wintering site. Okay, it's an excellent site for these Siberian cranes. Okay. Now, Siberian cranes, one thing extra you should know, these are critically endangered, right? Now, what is the flora? Of course, it is in Rajasthan. So yes, rainfall will be lesser as compared to other portions. Now, Keoladeo is also a wetland, okay, right? And it's a man-made wetland. We'll read about it when I discuss with you all the wetlands on the map of India. Fine. So this is, of course, number one, it's the wetland. Location is Bharatpur, Rajasthan. Okay. Other than that, you need to know it's primarily dry deciduous forest. Okay. And it has extensive grasslands, right? So these even things you should roughly be aware about so as to understand in which area we're talking about. Fine. So that is one. Now, in terms of fauna, it's home to a lot of fishes, invertebrates, amphibians, but most importantly for us, The most important point is home to a lot of migratory species. Keoladeo National Park. Okay. The second thing I want to tell you about this, because when I was discussing the wetland attributes, wetlands, okay, for that you have a Ramsar Convention and you also have a Montreal Record. Right now, there are two sites in the Montreal Record. One of them is Keoladeo National Park. Okay. The other site in what is Montreal Record, etc., other aspects of Ramsar, we will be shortly seeing in the this ongoing series. Fine. So till now, what we have discussed is the Keoladeo National Park. Okay. And perhaps this image will make you remember this part better. Okay. So this is one thing I want to tell you. So yes, of course, this is what you need to know, flora and fauna of this part. Fine. Now, Project Tiger, Manas National Park, and a World Heritage Site. Okay. So let us read about Manas National Park. Location wise, yes, this is present in Assam. Okay. What else was also in Assam? It was Kaziranga. Okay. So don't get confused, at least in the distribution of it. Fine. Now, this has semi-evergreen forests. Okay. Now, again, imagine, let's say these are the rivers of Assam, as you can see, right? This is slightly above in nature, right? So, because of that, it has both moist as well as dry deciduous forests. Okay. However, because these are some tributaries of some rivers here close by, so it also has alluvial grasslands. Alluvial is more rich in fertility, right? This is also there. Now, when I'm talking of fauna, so it is home to 22 of India's most endangered mammals, including, this is where this gets interesting, including Assam roofed turtle, one, hispid hare, golden langur, and very important, the last one, pygmy hog. Okay. If you've seen the image of pygmy hog, it's the world's smallest pig. Where is it going to be found? Manas Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay. Or in fact, Manas National Park, right? So that is one thing that you need to keep in mind. All this one, Assam roofed, of course, this is not difficult. Assam, because the name is telling you where it is. But yes, hispid hare, golden langur, and pygmy hog. Okay. So that is all is related to Manas. Okay. In fact, when we discussed Kaziranga, from Kaziranga, some rhinos are also being translocated to Manas as well. The reason is simple. Okay. When we're talking of this, let's say Manas National Park, the reason here is basically that we want to save the population. If all the rhinos are present in one location, that makes it difficult to conserve them. Fine. So this is Manas, let's say National Park. Okay. This is Sundarbans. Okay. Sundarbans has the unique distinction of having world's largest mangrove forest. World's largest. Okay. Now these Sundarbans, if you see the image also, it is inundated. Okay. It is filled with a lot of salty water. Okay. It has a lot of mangroves and it has a lot of biodiversity, including the Royal Bengal tiger. Your NCRT also tells you about Sundari tree. Okay. So on and so forth. So Sundarbans, very important. Okay. Sundarbans National Park. Okay. Sundarbans also as a wetland. Okay. Now, why is it very important? Because yes, it lies at the intersection of the Ganga Brahmaputra delta also. So that is very important. So Padma, Meghna, Brahmaputra river basins intersect here. So that is why this is there. Okay. And because of these, let's say rivers, it also gets a lot of nutrients every time. Fine. Which also helps in the growth of mangroves in the region. Okay. So these have very rich mangroves in the region. Okay. So very wide variety of mangrove vegetation is found here. Okay. This is the good part. Okay. I'll also tell you the bad part here. Home to the Bengal tiger, I just discussed it. Has the Indian python. Has a lot of estuarine crocodiles. Estuarine means it is close to an estuary. What is an estuary? When the river meets sea, that is known as an estuary. Okay. And then the Indian Sundarbans mud skipper. Fine. Now, this is the good part. The bad part is that while this has the world's largest mangrove forest and vegetation, it is also losing these mangroves very quickly. Why? Because of overexploitation, more rampant, let's say, encroachment. Okay. Then a lot of construction around these areas. Okay. Let's say a lot of port or dredging activities will go on. Okay, let's say some recreation, tourism, development, all of this. And again, not to forget the natural factors like storms, surges, cyclones, tsunamis, etc. All of that will also impact the region. Okay, so while natural, let's say, causes we already know, but we are more concerned about the man-made causes. Fine, which the decline of mangrove vegetation puts into account, or let's say harms the biodiversity as well. So that is also a challenge. Fine. So keep these things in mind when we are discussing of Sundarbans, right? So it is threatened also, and you can also write one point, okay, that unsustainable aquaculture and specifically shrimp farming. Okay, shrimp farming is a subset of aquaculture, has led to the destruction of mangrove vegetation in the region. Okay, so which is a very alarming point. Okay, so these are some things. While there are some interventions by governments and NGOs related to awareness about the region, but still a lot needs to be done, because this is one of the very important regions of India and perhaps also the world, because it's having such a high biodiversity. Fine. So about Sundarbans, there are many things you need to know, including, let's say, Indian python, crocodiles, mud skipper, Bengal tiger, etc. Right? Including a lot of vegetation which is going to be present here. What is this beautiful image? Okay, this is actually the Nanda Valley, and specifically more the Valley of Flowers. Okay, huge amount of, let's say, vegetation in terms of a lot of flowers which are present. A great tourist site also. Okay, so here this is present in the Chamoli district of Uttarakhand, number 1. Again, if you see your map, this is the region where this is going to be. Okay. Now, here you have temperate forest. Okay. Again, imagine the altitude. It is present at higher altitudes, this part here. Right. In temperate altitudes, you'll have fir, birch, rhododendron, juniper trees. If you see a lot of transcripts of the civil services interviews, sometimes they ask you, what is a rhododendron? In fact, this is also mentioned in your class 7th NCERT. Okay. So they often ask you what is a rhododendron. Okay. In case you do not know what is a rhododendron, I'll show you the image. Okay. But again, I'll ask you to read about it. Okay. These are how your rhododendrons look like. Okay. What a visual spectacle this is. Okay. Grown in a lot of orchards, etc. A great site. Okay. And again, also important for your UPSC interview, because this has been asked to many of these, let's say, aspirants who are generally interested, let's say, in ecology, but sometimes that too they have asked you, right? So fir, birch, rhododendrons, and juniper trees, these are temperate forests which are found in, let's say, the Nanda Valley and this part here. Okay. And remember, Valley of Flowers, this part, this has alpine vegetation. Okay, because I told you related to altitude also. So this has alpine vegetation in general, right? So that is one. In terms of fauna, yes, again, we find snow leopard. We also saw snow leopard in Great Himalayan National Park. We are also seeing the snow leopard here. You have the musk deer. Now, this has already been asked by UPSC in your prelims. Himalayan musk deer is found here. And you will find the red fox in this region. Okay. So Nanda Devi was inscribed previously. This was done in 1988. And later on, Valley of Flowers was inscribed in 2005. Okay, and combined they have now been given the status. So this is also one of the very important, and in fact one of the very pleasing sites. Okay, so for us to see. Then I move to perhaps the last site. Okay, this is again Western Ghats, which is one of the 8 hottest, let's say, biodiversity sites. Okay, and it is also a biodiversity hotspot. Okay, so this is also one of the hottest hotspots. Now, if you see, this is stretching across the 6 Indian states, number 1. Okay, right from the portions of Gujarat to Maharashtra to Goa, let's say Karnataka, right, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. So first of all, these are the states to which this is existing, number 1. Okay, now this portion again is very much important here. Nilgiris, number 1. Then, of course, Nilgiri also has Shola grasslands. Again, in Shola grasslands, you can find Toda tribes, etc. Right? So this in general has a lot of biodiversity. And again, if you analyze the papers of environment in a different manner, somehow you will find an influence of these UNESCO heritage sites or natural heritage sites as well. If you prepare them well, this also helps. Fine. So, and by the way, here, because first of all, this is facing your south west monsoon, there is more rainfall in the region. So, you will find both tropical wet evergreen. Again, to the portions in the leeward side, you will also find semi evergreen and even montane grasslands. For this, I told you, let's say shola grasslands. You can also find shrublands here. Okay, this is also very important. Now, when I'm talking of fauna, okay, so this includes Nilgiri tar, lion-tailed macaque, okay, and the elephant. Now, both these and including the sambar was asked in the 2023 prelims, okay. However, they asked you a different attribute in terms of let's say nocturnal or diurnal, right? But again, the distribution of habitat and the location will also help you understand these things better. Fine. So again, in Western Ghats, while there I can take an entire lecture on Western Ghats. For now, all you need to remember is the entire location, a bit of flora and fauna, and then as we go along, we will be building on our base. Okay. So now you should be more attuned with the kind of fauna which is going to be there. This is a very important biodiversity hotspot. Fine. Now this has been in news for many reasons. One, because of the verdict of Supreme Court on the eco-sensitive zones, number one. Again, in many portions here, let's say some deforestation, mining and other activities are going on. So that also brings this area into limelight and consideration. Even that is a very important part, right? So there are many things which we need to understand when we are talking about this case. All right. So again, remember, and we will be building on this, what we told here. So this also adds to our knowledge, right? So now what you need to do, take a piece of map, okay? Mark down all the sites I told you and try to now recall the important flora and fauna of